One group has clearly received unfair treatment in America, and that's blacks. First slavery, then laws like Jim Crow that segregated blacks, and now, well, now it's not so clear. Is America still unfair to blacks? Many say yes, and they want government to do more to help blacks. But Manhattan Institute senior fellow Jason Riley says no. He wrote a book titled, "Please Stop Helping Us." So why do you say stop?
No Great Society program has ever been able to replicate the success that blacks were having prior to the implementation of that program than versus what was happening after that program was implemented.
Before the war on poverty began, blacks were lifting themselves out of poverty.
Sure.
And more were married, more owned businesses. Then the war on poverty starts, and you can see the chart here. There was great progress for about 7 years, and then progress stopped because these programs taught people to be dependent.
Open-ended welfare policies do not help people develop a work ethic. Paying women to have more children and keep the father away from the home puts exactly the wrong incentives in place if you want a group to rise.
They didn't pay women to have more children or keep the father away.
Well, they rewarded women who had more children and penalized them if the father stayed in the home. So in effect, I think they were doing exactly that. But even if you go back further, between 1940 and 1960, black poverty in America fell by 40 percentage points. Now, it continued to fall throughout the 60s and 70s and 80s, but at a much slower rate, at best.
Despite all
of
these laws,
yes.
We have the Civil Rights Act of '64, Voting Rights Act of '65, the Fair Housing Act of '68, Equal Credit Opportunity Act, the Equal Educational Opportunities Act.
Right.
Congress being very busy.
We went from trying to ensure equal opportunity to trying to ensure equal outcomes. And the laws you just named there were put in place, again, aimed at discrimination. And we thought if we handled that, we'd get equal outcomes. We'd get proportionate outcomes. It didn't happen. And our emphasis on pretending wherever we don't see proportional outcomes that something must be amiss, I think is where we've gone wrong. You don't see equal outcomes, not in the U.S., not outside of the U.S., not in the past,
and that's okay?
Not anywhere.
Big disparities? It's unfair?
Well, it just shows the limits of government benevolence. There's only so much the government can do beyond providing a level playing field. Then it's up to a group to take personal responsibility, to take advantage of those opportunities. And that's what hasn't happened in too many cases in black America, due in part to a lot of policies that have been put in place to help.
And you would include affirmative action in that?
Oh, absolutely include affirmative action. Blacks were entering the professions at a faster rate prior to the Great Society programs and affirmative action efforts to help them. Blacks were increasing their levels of education, both in absolute terms and relative to whites. Nothing that the Great Society did has been able to replicate what was going on prior to the implementation of these programs in terms of the rate of progress.
And yet the public supports these programs. Affirmative action, 63% think it's good. Most whites, 84% of blacks.
When the University of California system ended racial preferences in college admissions back in 1996, black college graduation rates throughout the University of California system went up by more than 50%, including in some of the more difficult disciplines like math and science and engineering.
Because people were more likely to go to colleges that were suitable for them.
Exactly. There was a mismatch problem going on. But the left doesn't care about that because they care about those kids are in place to provide diversity on campus. Whether they graduate is a secondary concern at best to the left.
But why is it so popular? This is the left and the right supporting it.
Because good intentions have come to trump everything else. Data, facts, it does not matter. As long as you feel good and can pat yourself on the back for trying really hard and having the best intentions in mind, it's okay.